There's some incredible TV coming out of the UK right now. Brits just do it differently. The accents, the wit, the scenery, the devastating one-liners disguised as compliments. It's all streaming on BritBox. They have the best mysteries, dramas, comedies, and seriously addicting originals like Outrageous, based on the true story of the Mitford sisters. They were kind of like the Kardashians of the 1930s, wealthy, audacious, chaotic, wildly opinionated, and always making headlines. And chances are you've never heard their story. It's stunning. It's jaw-dropping. It's very British. So check out Outrageous. It could be your next favorite. Don't miss Outrageous, streaming now only on BritBox.
The HBO original series, The Gilded Age, is back, and so is the official companion podcast.
Are you curious about how they brought Gilded Age New York to life?
I don't understand.
Which bit is not clear? None of it is clear.
Want to know where the writers branched off from history?
Well, when you've set your mind on a thing, no one can stop you.
I take that as a compliment.
Watch or listen to the official Gilded Age podcast wherever you find podcasts.
Better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. I'll have what she's having.
Oh, can I also tell you, this is unrelated, but I found out what the storyline of the Last After movie is, and we shouldn't do it. The main actress wouldn't sign on for the movie, so it's a whole different story with somebody else, and then they just cobbled together footage from the other movies to make it seem like she's kind of in this movie.
Wow.
Which might make it worth doing at some point.
That movie should be called After Contract Obligations.
Yeah, it should. We don't need laugh lines.
We don't even need laugh lines for this. You got those for free.
Hey, thanks for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, was it my idea, Paige? I think it was my idea.
This was your idea. I'm going to blame you for this one.
To make you all watch Fool's Gold. So, Paige, was this the first time you sat down with the old Fool's Gold?
It was, and it will be the last.
It was my, Paige, I'll be a little vulnerable here. It was my first time as well. And when I saw that I could rent it for $3.49 or I could buy it for $4.99, I bought it.
Oh, no.
And I'll be honest with you, so glad I did. Loved the movie.
No,
this movie
Todd.
is a Steve Zahn and a Civil War story away from being Sahara, and I'm here for it.
No, Sahara is good.
I know.
This movie is not.
This movie is like the mirror image of that, though. So it's like really good from like maybe has some of the best adventure music of the age. You know what I'm saying? Like the adventure music is on point.
The music is okay.
The everything else is very fine. The everything else seems like
it's not fine.
It just seems
I'm not fine. I'm not okay.
It just seems like everybody involved in the production, the actors, the crew were just like, do you guys just want to like get a boat and go hang out for a month? And then Donald Sutherland was like, can I do a British accent and we bring someone to film the thing? And then that's it.
A British accent with a lisp for some reason.
I didn't want to ask, but yes, I heard a lisp as well. But it really does feel like it was just like a bunch of friends got together and made a movie. And you're like, great.
I wish that might have actually been a better movie. Unfortunately, what this is I have to assume too many cooks in the kitchen at some point, but also this movie epitomizes the number one note I give writers. Like I get hired to proofread and edit people's scripts, and jokes and everything.
Yeah, I mean, for years you've been doing that.
For years.
Yeah.
And especially now, my number one note is word economy and Occam's razor. And like the amount and I literally, when people hire me, I tell them, I'm like, do not fucking hire me unless you're ready to cut all of it. Because I will. I will cut this down to the bare bones of what it needs to be. And this movie is the most egregious nonsense I have ever seen. You could cut 3 of the 4 plot lines. You could cut half this movie out because there's barely a movie left. There's no chemistry. There's no love story in this movie, even though they try to make you think there is one. There is not.
It's kind of like just people breaking up and then getting back together, but not addressing any of the issues that led to them breaking up. And so you're like, maybe this isn't the best thing, but they just found a treasure. So like they're riding that we didn't die high.
But I don't know why they ever were together.
Paige, they make it very clear in the very beginning that Matthew McConaughey dicks you down right.
Sure.
Like, that's the reason they got married. She says it like 9 times.
But then I refuse to believe they should ever be together again. She should run away from this man like the fucking plague, and I would support her every second of the way.
She tried. She got a job as the chief stew or whatever.
But this movie wants them to be together so bad and then refuses to write a single scene where they have any chemistry or gives us any reason why this very smart woman with everything going for her should spend a second of her fucking time on this waste of fucking space in Matthew McConaughey's character.
He's fully terrible.
It's infuriating. He's a con man criminal, and he will lie to her and will absolutely cheat on her and knock somebody else up. I know it's coming. Oh, girl, run while you still can. Like, run.
Gemma's gonna be that person, by the way.
That is the grossest part of this movie.
I know.
I hated every second of it. She ended up with the other guy. I hated that too. How old is she? The movie doesn't tell us. She looks so young. I know the actress is 24 because I looked it up because I was worried.
No, I mean, she's not like his date. And I got the vibe that like...
He hugs her and kind of kisses her at the end.
But no, I mean, they talk about how she's his daughter. So like...
No. Donald Sutherland, no, she ends up with the Ukrainian guy at the end.
Gross! I did not notice that.
Yes, dude! This movie's fucking disgusting.
Gross.
They objectify her in a way that is so fucking uncomfortable the entire fucking movie.
Holy shit. The sword shot when it goes into the boat, that shot was nuts.
And she's portrayed as like a teenager.
It was nuts, Paige.
It is. They do not give her an age, but she is absolutely portrayed as someone who, at minimum, is not financially independent and still lives and travels between her 2 parents.
And her dad is like a billionaire. So like, it is like she's like a debutante, but what Paige is saying is absolutely true.
She still lives with her parents. She's in the tabloids, and her parents are like arguing, well, you tell her to behave, which to me suggests that she still like lives with them, which makes her a teenager. And like, what the fuck? What the fuck? If she is under 18, this movie is a crime. What is happening?
I mean, yeah, she's not, though. You looked it up. She's 24. Not that makes it any better.
The actress is 24.
Well, I mean, yeah.
The character is not 24, definitely.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because the character's not even allowed to drink, you might have noticed in this film.
Is she not?
She is never drinking when other people are drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she's portrayed as an idiot. So, like, I kind of like her character. She says, like, the dumbest things in the funniest ways, and it's just very funny to see a character like that. She's like the comedy. It's like the 2 cooks and her are the comedy, and I love the comedy in the movie.
Here's the thing. I don't love her. Cut her out of the movie entirely because her character is so upsetting. Keep the cooks. The cooks are the one thing saving this for me.
I know, they're great.
Her dialogue, if you want to save such brilliant, air quotes, dialogue, if you want to save it, give it to one of the other stews on the boat. Like, that's it. Problem solved. Because her plot line is worthless. Like, her plot line serves no purpose,
Yeah.
and has some of the worst dialogue between her and Donald Sutherland that's ever been on screen. Like it's like they're both reading cue cards. And here's the thing. She's been in a ton of other movies. I know she can act. I've seen her in other stuff. I know he can act. He's Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're both bad, I'm like, this has to be directed bad or written bad or something, because every scene between them is the worst middle school play bullshit, and all of it should be ripped out of this screenplay immediately.
The scene where they're having the conversation about like, I'm going to be independent or whatever.
Hate it.
It felt like a daddy-daughter dance. Like everyone
Yes.
was like doing the motions that like should have been good acting, but it wasn't great acting.
Right.
And I think that is like, I don't know anything about the production of this movie, but it does feel like they were like, guys, we've got 45 minutes to shoot this movie. Let's get it done. And like, listen, the movies we watch are made up of a shitload of takes, and we're looking at the best version of that shot every time, right?
Right.
So like, the more time you have, the more takes you can get, and the better the acting is as a result of it. So like, no joke, I assume they had like 20 days to shoot this whole movie, and they were just like pounding it out.
No, there is no way. There was way too much money and way too many names in this movie for them to have not had time. That's some indie movie bullshit.
I 100% think they all just went on vacation together and paid themselves a nice paycheck. And we, the people that went to see this movie, by the way, I did not see this movie, although I did buy it, so I guess I am victim too.
There you go.
That we all paid for it. We all subsidized their vacation.
Well, and that's not even the only problem, because then if we look at Kevin Hart's character,
I have so many questions.
Kevin Hart's character has the least amount of explanation and the most amount of jobs, and also more screen time than the main character's love story. Now, some, tea from the industry. Kevin Hart cares a lot about the people that work for him and a lot about his writers and other actors, and he will actively advocate for more screen time for them to get them paid. Normally, on board. This time, and I also don't know that that's what happened this time, because this is very early in his career. I just know that on the few projects I have tangentially worked on the last couple years, it's gotten to a point where it's like, bro, it can only be so long. Like, we have to, whatever.
It's nice, though, that he wants to bring people up with them. That's great.
Yes. No, 100%. He is a dude that opens the door behind him and holds it open for people.
Yeah.
100. The downside of that is sometimes you're like, man, this scene is like 20 minutes long. But I don't even know that that's what's happening here.
Yeah, this is 2008. That would be, I mean, he obviously was famous already, but
he was famous already, but it was
early on.
Early on. There's so much of his character in this movie.
Paige, and you learn nothing about him at all. Is he a gangster?
You learn nothing about him.
Is he a loan shark?
So he is a rapper with a comically bad rapping name who has a rum distillery that they do not tell us about. We just have to use context clues.
Okay.
And then that's why he lives and works on this island.
Yeah, that's why he owns his own island, Paige.
But he never seems to leave the island, right? And I'm like, what is happening? What else is he trafficking? Why does he want this treasure so much?
I honestly think it might be baby oil. I think he might be trafficking baby oil.
Very possibly. Who knows? It is an island. However, if I was rewriting this, okay, hear me out. Gemma, gone instantly. Dumb steward, you get the lines.
Just age her up, make her the second stew, and then she can still have the dumb lines. Just make her 25 or whatever.
Well, again, just make her one of the crew and give her dumb lines,
Yeah.
but that character goes away. Bye-bye.
I did kind of love the dumb lines, though, because they were very silly.
They're okay, but it's because there's not any natural chemistry or comedy written into the rest of the movie.
Oh, for sure that's true, yes.
They're a Band-Aid over a terrible writing problem.
But it's shit like, well, if it sank, why can't we just float it up or whatever? Like, it's stuff like that. It's is all the sea connected? Like, it's shit like that.
I damn near screamed in Screenwriter when she was like, you named the boat after me. I was like, shut her the fuck up. I was so over it. I was so tired.
I thought it was so funny, though. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that they did this beat. That's so funny.
I can't. I can't.
And it's like right after she says, what's the treasurer's address? Like, she's just like saying crazy, stupid shit the whole time. It's very funny.
I couldn't stand it. Remove that character entirely. Maybe give some of the lines to the stew to one of the other stews. Cool. But in general, I would say let's just do a punch-up pass over the rest of the script.
I have a better idea. It's not one of the stews. It's like I haven't watched Below Deck in a while.
Yeah, I don't know their name.
It's the boat staff head, not the chief stew, but like the guy who was over that guy. It should be that guy who has all the dumb lines.
And they already paint him as dumb.
I know.
So just give him the lines.
Yeah, exactly.
So stupid.
What is that? It's going to drive me crazy that I can't remember what that's called. But
isn't it boatswain?
Boatswain, that's what it is. Yes.
That's not how it's pronounced, and I know we're going to get corrected,
bosun.
but that is how it's bosun. But it's
bosun, yeah.
Spelled boatswain.
Yes.
Yes, the bosun. Give them the lines. I don't care.
It would be great.
Now, make Kevin Hart's character and Donald Sutherland's character, who now does not have a daughter anymore, make them the same character. Because then it seems like he's helping them find the treasure until he turns on them at the end and tries to take it. Because then we have unified, connections for our story, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because he exists outside of most of the other story connections. And if there's one person who would have a super yacht off the coast of this island, it's what? The famous rapper who owns a distillery.
Right.
He naturally would have a yacht. There shouldn't be any reason why those characters aren't probably the same, and gives us a third act flip of oh, you thought I was just helping you? I wanted this treasure. I wanted to sell it, even though it should be in a museum. Because, spoiler, we have no good motives from Matthew McConaughey at all.
I'm sorry, what? You don't think finding treasure is enough motivation? Paige, have you never seen National Treasure or any treasure hunter movie?
A motive for finding the treasure. Why does he want it?
Because it's a treasure. Okay, then nothing. There's no other reason than what you just said.
But that's the thing. Kate Hudson has a reason where she's like, I'm invested in the history. I'm invested in the story. I want to find this thing.
I definitely think he loves the story too, but he also would love the money.
Because yes, we have basically displayed that he owes a ton of people money.
Yeah.
He's going to find this treasure and probably hawk it to pay those people.
Well, and probably have a shitload left over. It's probably going to be way more than just...
Yeah, of course.
I think it's $60-some thousand. I wrote it down. We'll talk about it when we get to it. But
that's here. Why is Indiana Jones more likable than Matthew McConaughey in this movie? Because ultimately he has some noble motives. He cares about the history.
Yeah.
He wants to preserve it.
The famous "It Belongs in a Museum" is Indiana Jones.
It belongs in a museum is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Now, that means when Indiana Jones is kind of a rake and kind of surly and kind of sarcastic and kind of a dick, and yes, I know those movies are problematic in their own way, we kind of excuse it because we'd rather him have the treasure than the Nazis. But in this movie, I'm like, what's so bad if Kevin Hart gets the treasure? Because seriously, I can't imagine he's going to spend it on anything worse than Matthew McConaughey is. And so why do I care, basically? And why should I want this poor woman who actually cares about the treasure and has motives to be with this man who is definitely going to double cross her to sell it and is absolutely going to sink more of her boats on his foolish errands?
Yeah, he definitely is.
Yeah.
And that is how good he can dick Kate Hudson down.
There's no dick that good in the world.
She's just fuck, worth it. Good God.
Absolutely not. But this is also why I'm like, why shouldn't Kevin Hart and Donald Sutherland be the same character to a degree? Why is Donald Sutherland even here other than to finance things? But then we also find out that the rapper is also financing things.
Of course, the rapper's also, he owns the island. He bought the whole
exactly.
island. He's as rich as Donald Sutherland, who only has a mega yacht.
Right?
The loser.
There's so much extra in this movie. This movie's trying to do 15 things, and I just need it to do one thing good. One thing well. That's it.
I refuse to let it do just one thing well. I want it to do 15 things mediocrely.
Mediocre is kind.
Paige, here's why you can't combine those characters, and I mean this.
Mm-hmm.
Then we wouldn't get the shot of Kevin Hart standing on the plane, shooting at Matthew McConaughey on the rocks in the wide, where it looks like he's just an 8-year-old who found his dad's pistol.
Ooh, it is that they are not kind to him in that wide.
It's not. Please don't shoot Kevin Hart in a wide like that.
You have to shoot him from underneath to make him look more congruous with that plane.
Yes.
Like, or congruent, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, you can't just shoot it random wide. Come on now. Like, what are we doing?
And I'm not blaming Kevin Hart for that. That is like who set up this shot? Why did you capture this shot? Why is it the only version of this shot we have? Like, and that's why I was like, oh shit, they only had like 85 minutes to shoot this whole damn movie.
The only thing worse than that is when the plane is in flight and he's like, hold on, it opens up the door mid-air.
You know, you never popped the door on your flight?
And then fires, like steps out and is firing downward as if there's not pedals and like a steering column and also wind whipping past a door, which would make it probably impossible to open. Yes, I did Google if you could fire guns underwater, and the answer is yes. And I did send it to Todd, so we know this already.
She sent it to me, and I had just watched that scene, and I had also just Googled. Well, I mean, in fact, Paige, I was Googling it when we were talking about it. I had hit enter, and I was searching for my first result when your text came in, and I was like, oh my God, Paige. Same place club right now. Synchronicity. It was great.
Boom. Yes.
But Paige, listen, I get it. Oh, wait. I do want to say this about the Kevin Hart beat where he opens the door of the plane and he shoots down at them and then, you know, he gets knocked out and he falls to his death. I hope that, like, if I'm ever falling from a plane that my nemesis pushed me out of, I'm petty enough to go down shooting them up.
Like he did?
I ain't going out like a bitch like Hans Gruber. I'm going to shoot back at you, John McClane.
Oh, yeah. Go full point break with it. Just like, as you go down.
Yeah. And I love that it was, I don't know, the whole Kevin Hart being this like con man, like not even like organized criminal thing. It was very funny.
Yeah, he's both a mobster, a rapper, a liquor mogul, also owns part of this island, but then also is potentially murdering people and people know about it, like openly murdering people.
That's why he got the island, because he amazingly got acquitted because, you know, it's America. And so like, and he's rich.
Yeah.
So like he then moved to the island.
He moved to the island where he seems to control the entire island. Everyone serves his rum.
He owns the whole island.
Not the whole island. He owns the island off the coast.
That's what I'm saying. He owns that island.
Not where the distillery is. The second island where they're looking for the treasure.
Yes.
That is a second island.
I know.
He owns that one. He doesn't own the one he lives on.
I know.
Yeah.
It's all crazy.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a pretty great movie. In the sense that, like, man, in 2008, we would just watch fucking anything they put in the theaters.
I mean, that is real. That is true.
And that is nuts to me. Because, of course, this movie is not great.
No.
But, you know, Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson look great in it. And, you know, there's Donald Sutherland.
I was very upset as someone who thinks that they have so much chemistry in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days that it is wasted on this movie that gives them full nothing, no romance at all.
Nope. But Paige, I mean, this whole movie is about Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson getting back together so that he doesn't have to frost himself.
Ooh. I feel like he was frosting himself to that picture that almost burned when the initial boat burned.
It's the one thing he went down to get when he burned down her boat.
Just like he burned down her boat in that library.
Yeah, that's what it was. Paige, maybe we should just go through this movie scene by scene. And listen, it's a long movie. It's like almost 2 hours, but not a whole lot happens. So like buckle up. It's going to go quick.
At best, there's 45 minutes of story. We open on 5 separate title cards. Enough title cards for me to go, how many fucking title cards is this? And they read as follows because I wrote it all down.
I also wrote them down. Yes, please continue.
On July 24th, 1715, in celebration of the marriage of King Philip of Spain, the largest treasure fleet in maritime history set sail from Havana, Cuba. Title card 1. Title card 2. The $500 million worth of gold, silver, and jewels came to be known as the Queen's dowry.
Title card 3.
Unfortunately, in his eagerness to consummate the marriage, King Philip ordered the fleet to sail at the worst time of year.
Title card 4.
And so the great galleons, heavy with their sparkling cargo, sailed straight into a massive hurricane. At which point I wrote in my notes, how many fucking title cards are there?
And the movie answers back with the final fifth one.
And they were never seen again.
Paige, I have a question. Right off the gate, I have a question. We are literally 20 seconds into the movie, and I write in my notes, did this boat crash because King Philip was horny?
That is what the title card says.
All 5 of them are a story about how he killed people because he could not wait to have sex.
Yeah. He was so horny, they ended up in somebody's cove. That's what's up.
Yeah.
He was like, get in there.
In case you're wondering what kind of movie we're watching, guys, it's that kind of movie. It's like, no one knows this band, but one of my favorite bands is a band called The Kicks, and their first album was The Rise of King Richie. I was like, where's that from? I was like, it's The Rise of King Dick, bro. It's like that kind of energy, if that makes sense, you know?
Yes, it is. Now, here's what I will say about this. The backstory for why and how the treasure got there and how they're going to find it is the most interesting part of this movie.
Yeah.
And is on par with like an Indiana Jones. The difference with Indiana Jones is they guide you through learning about it in a way that is more accessible to you as a viewer. It is much more show, not tell. This movie gives you these 5 title cards and is like, remember all that information. And then later has Matthew McConaughey talk at you about people you do not know and do not remember. And then is like, remember all of that. And then just refers back to it endlessly as if you're supposed to know it, instead of unraveling it as you go. And that's very frustrating because there are parts of this movie that I'm like, I want to get into this. I love this treasure story.
Yeah.
And they're just doing nothing with it.
Because, Paige, essentially what you just described is what the National Treasure movies do, right? It's like you go from one set piece to the next set piece, but every set piece you're learning more about the story and it's revealing more clues and all of that.
Right.
With this one, we know where the treasure is. The whole movie. It's not a treasure hunt movie. It's a treasure dig up movie.
Yeah, basically.
And those aren't as interesting.
Well, we think we know where the treasure is for 2 acts of the movie, and then the 3rd act introduces the possibility that it might be somewhere else. Great. And then we speed through 4 set pieces to get where it is.
Yes.
In a better movie, we would have established that somewhere in your 2nd act turn to be like, we've been looking in the wrong place the entire time. And that then brings you into what the 3rd act will be, is changing and finding a new thing.
Yeah.
And then having to defend it from the other people who have found it as well. Just watch any Indiana Jones or even the Tomb Raider movies.
Watch the Temple of Doom. Paige,
yes.
This movie would have had a beat just like in Temple of Doom. Or no, sorry, The Last Crusade.
Yes.
When he goes down with the staff and he finds actually where they should be digging.
No, that's Raiders of the Lost Ark, but yes.
That's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, sorry, you're right.
Yes.
But in that moment, like when he learns that, we could have had that same thing, because when they first get to where they think the treasure is, someone's already digging there, quote unquote. Like they're like excavating the floor, right? So like they could have had a similar beat and then gone to wherever they wanted to go and then done it more like an Indiana Jones movie, but they don't. Instead of that, it's just like a movie stunt and then a movie stunt and then someone doing something sexy, and then everyone sitting on a couch, and you get a shitload of plot for like 3 minutes.
Yes.
And then another stunt, and then something sexy, and then plot. And it's like that formula, right?
Right. Now, if you want to use Last Crusade as an example, it's when they finally get to the Canyon of the Crescent Moon, Alexandretta. They find out where it is. They all get there. The Nazis even get there too. But now Indy has to solve through those puzzles, because he's worthy. This movie basically does fuck all for 2 acts and then is like, the penitent man must pass. Like that, it skips all the way to that point.
Yeah, but they don't have the balls to shoot Donald Sutherland and make him lay on the ground while we find the booty of Zion or whatever that's going to heal him or whatever would be the booty of Zion. Hang on. I want that to be a thing.
There you go. I thought for sure they were going to shoot Donald Sutherland and they didn't.
I thought they were going to shoot Donald Sutherland too. I said that to Natalie and she looked up from her phone and she was like, what's going on?
What's happening? Shoot him. We've got to get him off set. Get back to the Capitol. The Hunger Games are about to start. I even think about is it The Lost City? The name of the one with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum?
I thought you were talking Indiana Jones for a second. I was like, no, that is not Indiana Jones.
No.
It's Brad Pitt, and he's amazing in that movie. Even though it's not his movie, he's still amazing in it.
He's still amazing in it. That movie even does a great job of guiding us through the things we need to know
it's better
about
than
the
this.
mythology, and then wrapping up that mythology in a way that really ties in with the story.
Yeah.
Like, even that movie does a better job of it than this that doesn't know what it's doing. Like, oh my God.
I will say this about the opening credits, though, Paige. They do tell a lot of story, and you do kind of learn a lot about your main character, Matthew McConaughey, or one of your two main characters in Matthew McConaughey,
true.
without saying a word. So I think this opening actually does a good job of like showing, not necessarily telling.
But this is our hero.
Oh, I know.
All
I
it
mean-
shows us is reasons why we should not trust or like him
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And what we are missing from him, because let me go through it really fast. So we cut to his boat. He and a friend are diving. They have a compressor on the deck of the boat that is spitting sparks. It's super dangerous. It lights the boat on fire. It falls into the water. The boat sinks.
Behind
They
them.
don't notice.
Right.
They could have been crushed by the boat. It magically sinks behind them. And they suddenly are like, oh God, where's the boat? Now, what we're missing from this, because this is similar to every other Indiana Jones movie where like he's in a jam, something bad happens, but he magically gets out of it with the cross of Coronado, like, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
What we then get after that is him coming back to the world and explaining why it's important and explaining why he does what he does until someone else calls him to action. And then he's like, I'm not in this to be an action hero. I'm in this to preserve history or whatever. And they give him a reason to do the thing that he cannot refuse. But ultimately, it makes us view him as noble.
Right.
This movie never has that scene. It never has a point where Matthew McConaughey stops and goes like, this is so fascinating. This could be this, and this could be this, this could be this. In fact, the backstory we get for him is just that some other guy taught him to dig up treasure, and that's what he does now.
Yep, that's 100% the backstory. He was just like on and off again employed surfer
Yeah.
who got fired at least twice for not going to work for surfing, just to surf.
Yeah.
You know, a guy who's going places.
Sure.
And then he fell in with a guy who was a treasure hunter and made that his job and then was like, I can go out on my own. And I was like, man, this guy is a classy guy.
But the one thing he does find down there is a piece of china. I did appreciate that they're going to identify this treasure by old plates. If there's one thing Paige loves, it's old plates.
She's like, we found this Pyrex on the floor of the Caribbean Ocean.
We found a piece of Franciscan starburst in the blue-green atomic pattern, so I guess you know what that means.
Probably mid-century.
Probably mid-century.
Yeah.
Or some quirky bitch who found it at a flea market.
I do want to say this about the opening credits before we move on, Paige.
Yes.
The opening credits say a film by Andy Tennant, and I was wondering, is Andy related to David Tennant?
I don't think so.
They're not. They're not related. But when I looked that up, I did find out that Andy's dad was an ad man or a madman from like Chicago.
Okay.
And literally is the guy that invented the Marlboro Man.
Oh, wow.
That's the director of this movie's dad.
I want to say Andy Tennant has directed other things too.
He has. Yeah.
And things that we've probably watched on this podcast.
I'm sure, yeah. But when I looked that up, I was like, oh, damn, his dad, Donald Tennant, was like the guy who invented the Marlboro Man. And then I looked up and it was like Donald Sutherland. And I was like, Donald, I got to put my phone down. Because it was like too weird.
I mean, we don't have time to talk about advertising. I am fascinated by mid-century advertising. I think it was the birth of all the reasons why advertising is bad today.
Yeah.
But also the understanding of everything that made advertising good. Like, they understood society in a way that is troubling and terrifying.
Paige, the only thing they did was be the first people to be like, hey, maybe instead of just like making your commercials, be like, hey, here's a product. You should buy it.
Right.
We love this thing. You should buy it.
Right.
They actually like would tell a story or whatever because
Yep.
that's better at manipulating people. That's why I'm obsessed with like storytelling and stuff because I want to know how to do that better. And they are the ones that did that. They're the ones that started that. Yeah.
And creating character archetypes from that period, I find fascinating. The Marlboro Man is one of them.
Yep.
Our modern American version of Santa is essentially created by advertising agencies in the 50s.
It was Coke, right?
Coca-Cola is probably the most popularized version of Santa that we are familiar with. They did it the most. A couple other companies did as well. And Santa definitely exists. I mean, that's who drops things down your chimney every year.
But that's why there's a bunch of white stuff around him, because they were for ads for Coke.
Yeah, and they needed the red to stand out. Like there's so many things about our American version of Christmas that are just advertising from the 50s and 60s. It makes it even more baffling whenever people are like, the Starbucks cups are from Satan. Like, it's like, bro, literally everything that you think is Christmas
is from Satan. Oh, sorry.
Marketing. It's marketing, which is from Satan. So, like,
guys, I work in marketing, and I have to agree with Paige.
Yeah, but anyway, that is a wild fact and interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, he does swim down. He saves that one one picture. Now, we did see that there are two people, henchmen we will call them, watching from the beach. They watch the boat explode. They motor up to grab him and his friend. And it's very clear immediately that they are not friendly.
No, I mean, they pull a gun on them and like get in the boat.
Even though it's Malcolm Jamal Warner. Like, it's hard not to view him as friendly. You're like, oh, and then when they shot him, I was like, motherfucker, this movie.
He gets shot in the foot before he gets killed shot.
I know, but that was actually kind of shot well and pretty fun.
Yeah, it was great. It's also just about to happen.
Anyway, they roll up and they're like, so you sank our fucking boat. And they're like, we got to take you back too. And his name is like Big Bunny. They call him Bunny.
Yeah.
But it's, Big Bunny D's, I guess is his name. It is played by Kevin Hart, but
the way you said that was so. It is played by Kevin Hart.
We talked about Kevin Hart a lot in the beginning, and we're just saying Kevin Hart. Big Bunny D's is his character.
Yes.
We then briefly cut over to a fancy yacht where we see Kate Hudson. We know she is somehow related to Matthew McConaughey in a romantic way because of the picture. We've already seen her.
Yeah.
And she is thanking her very rich boss for stopping in Key West so she can attend a divorce hearing.
This movie it seems to not understand how divorce works at all, or divorce in Florida be crazy.
It may be. I've never been divorced in Florida or any other state, but specifically not in Florida.
Way to brag, Paige. Well, I don't think that they have like a rule where if you don't show up to your divorce proceedings, it's like a winner take all situation. There's also like a countdown clock to divorce that I thought was kind of a weird, like, it's just like as of this day. It's not like to the minute.
Well, and it's also like not in a courtroom. It's just in like an office, where it seems like he has not signed, which maybe what they're trying to portray here is like a no-fault divorce where one person can just like, we are divorced, but then usually you don't get to like, the division of the assets becomes a whole different thing.
Sure, I don't know.
At that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this movie has a nebulous understanding of it seems.
This movie also has a nebulous understanding of blowholes and a number of other things that... I have so many diving questions to ask you because you dive.
Well, I have dove.
Yeah.
And at the risk of sounding like an English class, we have been diving. But I don't think that I haven't been in probably 10 years or so, maybe more.
Okay.
But my stepdad, when I was growing up, was an instructor. So I got certified at like 13 and went on a bunch of dives.
Yeah.
And then when I went to college, I honestly stopped going, and it's been a while.
It's kind of an expensive hobby.
It's a very expensive hobby. That's the reason he instructed. Like he had a real job too.
Yeah.
He instructed to sort of subsidize his wanting to dive, and it was like it was a way to make little side monies to pay for his diving.
So we established that she's going to go to Key West to get divorced, and we assume it's from Matthew McConaughey, and probably for good reason, given what we've seen of him earlier in the film.
She has good reason to divorce him through every frame of this movie.
Every frame of this film.
Never at any point should they be together.
They should never get back together.
It's always been a mistake, Kate Hudson. It will forever be a mistake. Run away, please.
It's going to ruin her life.
And that's how good he is at dicking down Kate Hudson, Paige.
Ain't a dick that good in the fucking world.
Man, I love that Beyonce song. Hell yeah.
First, well, I guess it depends. I think the song you're thinking of is actually Rihanna, but I might be wrong. Who knows what song?
I actually wasn't thinking of a song.
Okay,
I thought it would be funny
then.
if it was the Beyonce lyric.
With new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. So after a long day, buy a double cheeseburger and add a McChicken for $1. Because saving with deals is always on the menu with new McValue.
Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
With a $5 meal deal with new McValue. You pick a McDouble or a McChicken, then get a small fry, a small drink, and a 4-piece McNuggets. That's a lot of McDonald's for not a lot of money.
Prices and participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for a limited time only.
Anyway, so we cut back to Kevin Hart, who's like, where's my fucking money? You sank my fucking boat. And he's like, well, all over. And then his partner is like, yeah, he didn't do any of the boat modifications he told you he was going to do. He basically robbed Peter to pay Paul. And that's why the boat sank. And now he owes $62,000 and some change.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, hey, check out this plate. It's like a fancy plate. And they're like, it looks like it's just a plate. And he's like, but I promise it's the Franciscan Atomic Starburst. I promise it's this very fancy plate.
Yes.
And it's from this family. And they're like, I don't know who the fuck that family is, but like, get his ass off my island.
I think they're made up. Well, they might not be made up, but it's not like a known thing to me. So
no, it's the 3 knights of the, whatever in Last Crusade, where it's like
the Templar Knights.
Yes, yeah. But like there are stories about different group. This specific group is,
Yeah.
Anyway, he then gives them the plate and they're like, we don't care about this plate. Kill him. He gets taken out on a fancier boat by the 2 henchmen. And they're like, we're going to kill you, man. I'm so sorry. And they tie an anchor to his feet. They're about to toss him off. He grabs one of their guns as he goes down. He's hanging off the back of the boat as they start the motor to try and drive away. He shoots up, and this is where he shoots through the foot into the kneecap.
Yeah.
Brutal. And then he shoots the other guy's ear off, but ultimately, eventually falls down to, admittedly, a very shallow body of water. They established that it's about 30 feet deep.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Which, I know that compared to a swimming pool, super deep. For ocean, not that deep at all.
It gets a little bit deeper.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Mariana's Trench is like, what, 45? No, I'm kidding.
But he's more than just chained up. He's got a whole anchor. So it's like there's no way you could tread water because, the anchor is going to pull you down. That's what it's designed to do. And your legs are chained. So you can only use your arms. There's just no way you could.
Right.
So he goes right to the bottom.
He goes right to the bottom where, spoiler, the gun also is.
Yeah.
And this is why I had to Google if you can fire guns underwater. And according to Mythbusters and Reddit and a couple other people, yes, you can.
I'm suddenly a lot more scared that bin Laden is down there.
Right?
Because there are definitely guns down there.
Keep a gun away from it. But apparently the speed of the bullet is reduced because of the water.
It's enough to break the chains so he can then swim to the surface.
Let me tell you this, though. Mythbusters did test if you could fire a bullet in water, and you can. It does slow it down, and at point blank range, it would still be pretty fast, which could sever things. However, Mythbusters also tested if you could shoot through locks and effectively still open doors, and only certain kind of locks can be shot through. And unless he exactly hit this one at point blank range from the loop that connects it to the chains, he probably would not be free.
Well,
very unique set of circumstances.
He crushes it because he definitely lives through this movie.
Adam and Jamie would be proud.
Yeah.
Anyway, he swims to shore. He gets rescued by a party boat. That's fun.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Yep. And behold, this dude. Very fun line.
Yeah.
I could do with more of that. I could do with just more general camp like the party boat as opposed to limiting all of our air quotes funny lines to one character who shouldn't be here. But whatevs.
Yeah.
He does make it to City Hall just a minute too late. He's already divorced and she gets everything in the weird divorce laws of this movie.
I don't understand them, but it does sound like if he did get there in time, they might have had to arm wrestle for it. It just sounds like an insane system. And I do not know for sure if that's how it works down there.
I have no idea. I thought gator races were involved, but what we do establish in this scene is that part of the reason she's getting divorced is because his bad credit is preventing her from being able to do anything. get loans, buy houses, buy
Yeah.
cars, etc., which is a real ass thing and is, spoiler, not gonna fucking change. And like, he at no point does he really apologize to her.
No.
Or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no growth from him at all, and he's the character that needs to grow. Like, she has a plan. She wants to go execute that plan, and her plan is to go get her freaking PhD and get a real job. And I can't hate her for that want. You know what I'm saying?
No, she's probably going to be either an archaeology or history professor.
Yes.
That is kind of what it sounds like. Good for her.
Because she belongs in a museum, guys.
She belongs in a museum. But he tells her about the plate, even though he doesn't have it. And she's like, I don't care. I need to live the rest of my life. And he just goes, bullshit, mama. As if we're supposed to be like, oh, love, like 10, how to lose a guy in 10 days. But no, this is nothing like that.
No.
In that one, he had a job.
He becomes rich in this movie.
Well, we'll talk about that at the end because museums don't exactly pay great.
You know what? I thought they were selling tickets. I thought they owned that museum and they were selling tickets.
I mean, if they do, then sure.
But it is very nebulous.
Very nebulous.
We don't get the end like National Treasure where you see how much money they got. In fact, I think they even say it at the end of the movie.
Right. In National Treasure, yeah.
Yeah. In this, they don't.
In this, they don't for a reason. But he reveals that he sank her boat. So it was her boat.
Well, it was their boat, but she got all of it because he showed up late to the arm wrestling match that would have resolved or ended their marriage, depending upon who won.
Depending on who won.
You know, divorce in Florida.
But that also means that he had a callous disregard for the one thing that could have financed her future. And he's like, well, that's what you get for trying to divorce me. And I'm like, this is abuse.
Yeah.
This is financial abuse. Run away. Run, Kate Hudson.
She's trying to run away. She took a job as a chief stew with the literal president of Panem so that she could get away from this man.
Absolutely. And I believe that she will find her own PETA whose arms smell of bread.
How could they not?
How could they not? Anyway, she does hit him in this scene. Not hard enough because he gets up after.
Oh, this is the one where she hits him with the cane?
With the cane.
Like she walks over and grabs, like there's an old man sitting next to his wife and she grabs his cane and hits him and then hands it back to him. It was very funny. I did like this.
Yep. But we then cut to him talking to his Ukrainian partner who is like, hey, if that guy finds out you're alive, like he owns the island or whatever. And this is where we reveal that Big Bunny D's had a hit song called Call Me Thumper.
I mean, yeah.
Like a reference to Thumper the bunny, the rabbit.
Yeah, his name is Big Bunny and he's Kevin Hart. He's definitely going to have to be funny.
Yes, right? But here's the thing. I feel like Tropic Thunder, I think, does a great job of this, of giving somebody an insane rap name that still feels like it could be real. This in no way sounds real at all. But in Tropic Thunder, when they're like, Al Pacino, you're like, that's hilarious. And that is fantastic wordplay. This needed 2 or 3 more drafts.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut back to the yacht where she is now back on the boat and is like, can we leave so that I can just leave all this behind me? And Donald Sutherland's like, no, I'm going to stay because my daughter wants to like hang out and shop or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he just wants to see his daughter who spends most of her time with her mom who's still alive and like they're just divorced, right? So
right. But the fact that they're transferring her back and forth again reads very teenager and makes the rest of this movie very, very, very troubling.
Paige, it honestly felt like she was on a summer break where she has to spend 2 weeks with her dad.
The text message she sends says, spending 2 weeks with my dad, kill me. And I'm like, that's a teenager.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, while they're waiting for his daughter's helicopter to arrive, he asks Kate Hudson, Tess, like, what's your thing? I know it's not this. This is a temporary job for everybody. You're clearly smart. What's your thing? And they kind of leave it because his daughter arrives and she then starts planning about like, okay, how do I tell him that I kind of want to go look for this treasure and that like it's the history of it. It's a chance to uncover history that's been hidden forever. Like her pitch is actually really great.
Yeah.
But the side quest of it is she's like, I just got to get us out of Key West before my ex-husband finds out and cons these people into him finding the treasure, which she has all the information about it. The movie seems to think he's the expert. That's baffling, but whatever.
He really isn't. He's just like the guy who interned with another treasure hunter for a season and is now trying to do his own thing.
Right, but anytime there's like an adventure or a thing that requires the like special knowledge about it, they let him do it, not Kate Hudson. And I'm like, she's the expert. And she can also dive. We know this.
She's down there most of the time when he's down there. Not all the time, but almost every time.
Like in the end, when they're finally going through the set pieces, yes.
Yeah.
But in the like interim where he's like, no, it's because of the grin, whatever. It's like, she's just standing on the boat.
Yeah.
They don't even let her help teach other people to dive. It's infuriating to a degree. You're like, she's the adventurer.
But Paige, Matthew McConaughey is the man.
I hate this.
It's like, it's aggressively that attitude though.
Yes, it's 2008.
It's not good. I said it like that, but yeah, it's not great.
Anyway, he sees the daughter because the daughter arrives and then immediately is like, I'm going to go shopping, gets on a boat, loses her hat. He somehow sees this from miles away.
It's not miles, but it's very far away. Like he could not have seen that. It was a white hat on the sky right above the sea. So like you probably would have lost it immediately. Like no one would have seen this hat.
No, and it's a fucking hat. Like whatever.
But he does go like race up to it. And then to grab it before it hits the water, he hits a wave just right and jumps up and grabs it and then lands back in the boat. And it's more or less a magic trick because there's no way that would have happened.
There's no way that would have happened. And then the boat almost kills him because it runs him over. And then they bring him back on the boat and she's like, he almost saved my life, Daddy. Spoiler, it was a hat. But then for the first like day or so that he's on the boat, he's like clinging on that teenage girl in a way that is so upsetting.
It is not addressed at all, but I think there may have been like a plot point of him like trying to make her jealous, Kate Hudson jealous, but like it's not addressed at all. So if like, it just seems like because clearly she develops a crush on him when he, quote, saves her life, aka just her hat. But it's weird to me that he plays into it if she's a teenager. Now, I realize the actress is 24.
Sure.
But I think they're trying to code her as like 16, 17.
The character very much seems like a teenager and he's got arms around her, like cozied up.
And she's like googly eyed, like, yeah.
I hated it. I was like, oh no, like on so many levels. It's so gross.
It wasn't great.
But we then cut to another office on land where Kevin Hart's character, Big Money D's, brings the plate fragment that he would not let Matthew McConaughey keep to Mo Fitch, another treasure salvager on the island. Turns out to be the one who taught Matthew McConaughey everything he knows.
Yeah, it's a small cast, guys.
Yes. Meanwhile, Tess brings dinner in and is like, oh my God, my ex-husband is on on this boat, breaks a bunch of plates.
She does throw the plates down as she's like putting the plates down and all of them break.
All of them break.
Literally every plate she puts down breaks.
And at this point, Donald Sutherland is like, sit down, let's explain the rules of the Hunger Games before you kill each other. And so like, they sit down and this is where we get a 5-minute talk of like why they're looking for this specific thing and where it is. And they let Matthew McConaughey do most of it, even though we reveal it was Kate Hudson's theory.
Yeah. He's just the better story. Again, Paige, what do you expect him to do? He's the man.
That's so gross.
It's his job to take his wife's, now ex-wife's, but like wife's achievements and pass them off as his own.
He never once refers to her as ex-wife. It's always wife, and I hate that. I hate him not validating her choices.
Well, and listen, they do get back together at the end of that, but
hate that.
I also hate that. There is no solution in this that ends with Kate Hudson having a good life that involves Matthew McConaughey's character at all.
Yes.
I honestly don't even care if now they're rich as shit. Still, he's just gonna cheat on you every chance he gets.
Oh, 100%. But essentially the story they lay out is this. The fleet we heard about in the title cards at the beginning had spread the treasure across multiple boats And when they got to Mexico and decided to then cross over into Veracruz and then sail out into the Caribbean, they decided to transfer the riches from all the boats to one specific boat, specifically the fastest boat.
Yeah.
And that boat potentially missed the storm that sank the fleet and made it at least to Topsail Key, which is where they are. And they think that it sank in this one area, and that's where they found the plate. And later they will find a couple other things. As far as we know right now, that is where the boat is. And it's tied to a family who is like tangentially related to the royals. It's the Vangors family.
Yeah.
And they were sailing the Aurelia.
Yeah, that's the ship they're trying to find. So, Paige.
Yes.
This whole like theory that they have really aligns with the, is he just a horny king?
Yeah.
Because he was like, all these other ships are too slow. Get all my money on this boat and we're going to hightail it till I can bang the queen.
Well, the king's not on that boat because these are the boats of just her dowry.
That's
so
right.
He's not on it, right? So the king doesn't even get there fast. This one, now what they do say is that like another ship wrecks in the same place and finds this dude castaway style on the island where he lies about where he is so that no one knows that he potentially has all the treasure there.
Yeah.
Cool. We then cut to essentially Donald Sutherland and his daughter are like, well, we're in to help you find the treasure. We have tons of money and nothing to do. And this will be a great daddy-daughter vacation for us. So they learn how to dive in like 2 days.
Which, listen, it's not super difficult. Like, you could learn in an afternoon the basic mechanics of it. So, like, yeah, they're not certified. I guarantee you that. Like, it's not like that. That would take a while. But, like, I think you can even do that, like, on tours and stuff where you, like, pay to go scuba diving with a guide or whatever.
Yeah. Like, you could do it in Hawaii and stuff where it's, for however many hours. But as they're doing it, Kate Hudson is trying to teach Donald Sutherland in, like, the hot tub of the boat, while Matthew McConaughey is feeling up the daughter as he's putting the backpack on her in a real gross way. And Kate Hudson doesn't really react to it. She's you can tell she's like a little frustrated, but like it passes immediately. But it was just one more thing of like, the fuck is going on?
It doesn't really land as he's trying to make her jealous because she's divorced him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she cares all that much. I do think she finds him attractive because they were married.
Sure.
But I don't think she eventually does have sex with him later in the movie. But at this point I was like, she's not going to want that. Like, she's leaving this person.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, that's a fucking teenager.
No, I know. I think it's weird for many reasons. Like, why even do the beat?
We cut to a couple days later. They sail up to the place where he found the plate. Who should be there but Mo, already there laying a grid of charges to try and detonate.
Yeah.
So he has them buy time so he can swim down there and try to undo their grid. And I believe accidentally detonates one of the charges while he's down there, which gives him the sword, lucky him, and propels him up onto one of the boats, throwing the sword that perfectly sticks into the very expensive yacht right between Gemma, the daughter's legs, as she was like the bait for the other sailors.
Yes, more or less it seems. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Paige, if you're expecting anything appearing like smart from this movie, I'll remind you.
Not smart, just not gross.
Well, this is the movie where Matthew McConaughey, when looking for the boat that sank while they're like at the very beginning, the first place he looks is in the sky.
Yeah.
That's the level of intellect in this movie.
Anyway, the two cooks, who we have not talked about enough, but they are a married couple and we love both of them.
Yep.
I don't remember either of their names, but I love them so much. Just like two gay bear dads, just like hanging out, cooking the best meals, just chit-chattering with each other while they're cooking. And I was like, what a wonderful working relationship.
Honestly, that's where I want to be, a fly on the wall.
Yes.
Just hear what they talk about.
They're Kate Hudson's two coworkers, and I was like, would kill. I would love, like, please let these be my coworkers. This would be great.
Yeah, because every time you walk into a scene, you're like, man, these guys are really funny. We should just like let them cook. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. I also love how much they both love Kate Hudson and are just like, we're just trying to give you good advice.
Yes, and are like in her corner. Yeah.
Yes. Incredible. Anyway, they have the sword. It's a wonderfully exciting first day, which makes this next beat so uncomfortable because They're all kind of sitting and celebrating. And at this point, the Ukrainian sidekick, who is only in like 3 scenes of this movie, is basically like, cool, are there any sex workers on the boat? No? Can we call some?
This shit was nuts that they left this in the movie, let alone wrote it. I was like, what is this scene?
Because here's the thing. First of all, in my experience, that's more of a one-on-one activity. Secondly, I don't have any direct experience, but from my understanding, that's a one-on-one activity.
Sure.
Secondly, it'd be one thing if it was like a bachelor party scenario of multiple people of age who might be interested in that activity. At best, maybe Matthew McConaughey, whose ex-wife is on board. But other than that, you've got other crew members. You've got Donald Sutherland, who seems old and not on board.
He seems like 65 years or older. Like, he's old.
Right? And then you have an underage girl, it seems.
If she can't drink, she's definitely at least under 21.
So any presence of any sex worker at that point, not okay. Even, no, I guess international waters, but still,
When I heard that line, I was like, oh, wow. It is a 2008 movie. That's insane that's in this movie.
Oh, God. This was the point at which I looked up the age of the actress because I was so upset.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and found out she was about 24, maybe 23 when she shot this. And I was like, okay, but like that character is not, clearly.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kate Hudson definitely goes to try and sleep with Matthew McConaughey, but he's not in his bedroom. He swam to shore with the sword.
Yeah.
To then use a dull sword from the sea to try and break into the distillery that Kevin Hart owns. And at this point, as we cut away, so we know that he's there. But then we cut to Donald Sutherland playing cards with his daughter and playing for like money that she's then giving to charity, which I did actually think was very, very funny. But then the beat after of like, I don't want it, and then revealing how he met her mom. And I was like, all of this is additional story that we don't need, that just makes us dislike everybody.
And never gets resolved.
Never.
Like, this scene really codes him as kind of an out of touch, but wanting to get to know his daughter more kind of father figure.
Right.
And her as like a debutante, spoiled heiress who like doesn't care about like ever working man and just needs you to like give her the money she needs to live her life or whatever.
Right.
And neither of them grow in any way. Like Donald Sutherland and her don't form a better relationship. She doesn't become not a spoiled debutante. She just ends up with the guy in the last scene who wanted to order some sex workers, we'll say. Although that's not the word he used.
Anyway, so cut to Bad Bunny D's house, where he has Cyrus, a new enforcer, who basically shoots Malcolm Jamal Warner. Fuck you, guy.
He had to kill the guy he was replacing. That's like a classic enforcer move.
True. Shoots him, threatens to shoot the other guy. I don't know why they don't just shoot Matthew McConaughey at this point. The only thing I can think is that they think he knows where the treasure is and therefore have to follow him.
That's probably why they actually do it. But yeah, I mean.
Except they've tried to kill him twice. So like, I don't fucking know.
That's true, because Kevin Hart's character has been like, I've tried to kill him many times and it never sticks or whatever, you know?
Anyway, they let him go, agreeing that like if he finds the treasure, they don't kill him. He swims all the way back to the boat with open face wounds in salt water.
Yeah, it would be very painful. By the way, the sword he's using would be worth $50,000 to $100,000.
Of course it would be, yeah.
Like, find a stick, you idiot. It's the same thing. Like, because it's not a sharp sword.
Right.
It's been at the bottom of the ocean for 300 years.
Oh my God. Yes.
It belongs in a museum, you idiot.
It belongs in a museum. We cut back to the boat where he comes back to the boat. Kate Hudson's waiting and she's like, I know you went to go see the guy. How much money do you owe him? And he's like, $62,581.43. And she's like, why didn't you just tell me? And he's like, well, you wouldn't have come. So he actively admits that he manipulated her.
Yeah. He's like, I lied to you, but it's okay, right? Because, you know, I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's sort of the vibe. And she's like, no.
Yeah. I would have come, but I wouldn't have come with you, is what she says.
Yes, because we know she wanted to do this without him, more or less, right?
Yes. But at this point, they're now working together with Moe's team, kind of. We get to see a turtle. That's pretty great. And then Kevin Hart's just like flying and spying on them with the seaplane.
But like he like opens the door and looks down. It's so funny, which means they couldn't. He's too short to look through the window. I don't know how to get to that joke in a funny way, but that's why they had to shoot it like that.
That must have been. But also, I'm just like, you could just shoot it with him tilting his head.
Get him some phone books.
I think it means that they had no way to shoot inside the plane while it was airborne.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's definitely not airborne in those shots, you know?
It's definitely not airborne. And even when it's him and Kate Hudson, it's not airborne again. Anyway.
Her hair's not blowing at all in the airplane shots. It's very funny.
Nothing's moving.
Yeah.
But we cut to our crew, Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson, Donald Sutherland, his daughter, and assorted other crew members out at a place called Pelican Bar later. And one of their crew members is like, hey, I had to move the yacht. We had to pick this other place because it's the only place that you can actually put into port.
Because literally his yacht's too big for the harbor on that island. That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that point, Matthew McConaughey is like, holy shit. Of course he didn't sink the boat where he said he did, because everything is predicated on him lying, which means that like he probably put into port where like you could actually bring your boat in.
Yeah.
So like, let's go there, and we got to work quick before the other crew realizes we have started to look somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so they do go night diving.
Yeah.
As if they'd be able to see fucking anything.
You can do night dives, man. I've done them. You just have a big fuck off flashlight that's really bright.
Yeah.
And they are terrifying. Like, I hated them.
Okay.
It's like being underwater at night.
It is exactly being underwater at night.
Like, it's terrifying. I don't, like, why would I have done that?
I don't know.
Anyway, some people like it. Some people like to do, like, wreck dives at night. And honestly, there are some places where, like, they're lit up because they're, like, tourist attractions kind of for divers. And that would be cool. But, like, the idea of literally any sea creature swimming anywhere around me and me not being able to see them, no. Not today, Kraken.
Oh, cracking that dick off. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, not good.
Not my flashlight.
They find pieces of the ship down there. And so the next day, they excavate. Once the tide goes down, they find a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And I assume bring it back to the boat. And they're like, okay, but this is not all the stuff we're looking for. They probably burned the boat. Maybe they took the treasure inland to somewhere. So where would we find that information? Okay, well, like the town wasn't founded till the 1780s, but he was here in 1715. So maybe if we go to the church, because it's the oldest building on the island, they show up to the church and literally the priest on duty is just like, yeah, do whatever, just go nuts. Like they don't even have to ask permission. We're almost at the end of this movie at this point, and they've just kind of rolled up and been like, can we dig up half the graves in your backyard or whatever?
And the priest is like, I don't work here.
Yeah, it's God's house, not mine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But they show up and they look up stuff in the basement, and this is where in the basement. Oh, I missed my least favorite part. As they're going back to the boat after excavating, this is where Gemma's like, you named the boat after me.
That part on page,
stupid.
That part made me laugh, but not because of what she was saying and like do. I was so funny that they like stopped the flow of the movie to do that beat.
It dead stopped.
It was so funny. I was like, God, that's ballsy.
It is such a screenwriting no. It's hard to put into words how bad. Like if I saw this in a script, I would it'd be my first cut.
Yeah.
But like, because you've got the flow of like, okay, now we know where we got to go. We got to get back to the boat. We got to get to the mainland, and you've got momentum, and you're like, okay, all right, where are we gonna go? And then it's like dead stop. She interrupts characters telling us where we're going to go next for nonsense.
Paige, she stops the boat.
I hated it so much. I hated it so much.
No notes, Andy.
Oh,
no notes.
Infuriating.
I own this movie now.
Oh my God. I'm the captain now. It's me, Gemma. Anyway, they finally get to the church. They're in the basement. And in the basement, they read an entry from the people that got there to build the church. And they're like, when we first got here, there was already a grave, which we thought was weird because we didn't think anyone had been here. But there's a grave that said Aurelia from 1715. And they're like, oh my God, it is in the graveyard. So they go out. They have sex in this very dirty book room.
In the church, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which means that baby's going to be evil.
How could it not be, Paige?
Right.
They were at church. But Paige, I don't think I understand. How many people were like shipwrecked on this island? Was it just the one?
So I think it is the one. And then there's another boat that finds him and takes him somewhere else and he dies.
Whose grave is this?
It's no one's grave. But he dug it for it does not make a ton of sense, Todd. What? Why? I'm so sorry.
I've been called Tom before, guys. Like, this is definitely not the first time someone who I know. I'm sure my mom has called me Tom before. Like, that's a very common, like, it's very close.
Todd, this is where the movie starts to break down because they keep yelling things at us like we should know who these people are and where they belong in the story.
It does feel like we're getting a quiz if we want to follow what's happening. Yeah.
Right. And because they have it both ways, where they have this person allegedly was picked up from not this island, but the other island where stuff was.
Right.
And then brought back here and then died, which at some point you're like, so when did he bury this?
The whole reason I bring that up is because I was under the impression, based on the story that I was told in the movie, at least that I thought I was told in the movie, is that guy was on the island by himself. And then I was like, well, then who the fuck buried this guy? Like, that is not how you find the lone survivor on an island.
It's not his grave, but I do think he dug the grave. So I guess what I'm thinking is that because his diary says he was there for a year. He digs the grave.
So what you're saying is that's not a grave. That's where he buried
the treasure,
the golden plates and the urine and thummim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the seeing stones.
That's the urine and thummim. Yeah, that's both the seeing stones. Yeah.
So he buries the seeing stones and the gold plates. And then he's like, I got to get to that other island before Jesus comes to visit. Like that is, so somehow he gets across to the other island to try and fake people out. Like the movie is unclear.
And it also happened in 1781. It's like Moroni running from island to island or whatever.
Right. Or just like Cape Fearing on the bottom of a boat like Bigfoot. Anyway, allegedly he Sarah Connored and buried clues in the graveyard. And it's not the treasure. He buried like clues to the next part of the treasure where it's like,
if it was Sarah Connor, he would have buried a bunch of like
muskets,
swords and flintlock muskets. Yeah, that'd have been awesome.
But instead it's like a little bit of treasure. And then it's just a book that's like, it's in the blowhole. And so they're like, great, to the blowhole, or they would, except somehow, inexplicably, Kevin Hart and his cronies show up there.
Yeah.
How did they know they were there? No one knows. There's no causality for them knowing or showing up there.
I mean, he does own the island, he owns this.
Not this island. He owns the other island.
He owns the other island. He sees their boat around. Like, it's like seeing what your neighbor is up to and being like, oh, you're digging up treasure? I'm going to come and steal the treasure now. Thank you very much.
I guess.
I'm world famous rapper Big Bunny.
Bunny D's nuts. It would make more sense if we had a scene where Mo, the other excavator, was like, where did they go? And then someone was like looking to find the yacht, and
he sent out a scouting party, like 100%. Right. That would have solved it.
Or kidnapped the people on the yacht and was like, where did they go? Or something. But no, they have no information that would lead them here, and yet they show up here.
Paige, I don't know how to bring this up. It's a little bit of a sensitive topic.
Okay.
Kevin Hart owns this island.
Well, in the sense that he owns the police, etc., but like he owns the other island. This is what's driving me crazy.
Yes. So all of that to say, he lives on an island.
Yes.
Just take that for what it is.
Sure.
He seems to be terrified of water. So I don't think we ever see him in the water. And when
except for the seaplane,
he's trying to load the gold into the seaplane, it slips off and goes into the water and he screams like it's lava, Paige.
Yes.
I think he does not like the water.
Sure. That's possible.
So I ask again, why did he buy an island?
I mean, I have to assume it was to escape legal consequences.
Yeah. I think that there's some very terrible things happening on Kevin Hart's island.
Except that the movie, fuck this movie. The movie portrays it as he lives on the main island, Topsail Key. He bought the other island off the coast because that's where he thought the treasure was. And he's actively trying to find the treasure. Why? We have no idea.
Well, because he's heard of the treasure.
Sure, but he seems to be like insane levels of rich, which like I guess as a hobby, like, you know, Ocean Gate style or something maybe.
Yeah.
But like that's what it's portrayed as. Don't you think he would have checked the church? Like that's the other thing where I'm like, Matthew McConaughey's been looking for this for years and neither of them went to the church.
I mean, they had gone to the church because they had talked about how it was built in the 1780s.
So they already knew that and didn't like check the cemetery. Like
they didn't check the cellar where the books were, though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying because they definitely would have checked that.
Yeah,
it's almost like this movie's not well written. Yeah, we know it's great.
But yeah, they get in a fight and Matthew McConaughey goes off a cliff in a Vespa but survives. But Kate Hudson thinks he's dead.
Well, because he went off a cliff in a Vespa, so he's dead. Like it's a movie, so sure. He's not, but he's dead.
And then they take Kate Hudson. They're like, "You're gonna go get us that treasure," because they don't understand how fucking blowholes work. Because what we just established in the scene before this was that blowhole for 2 days a year is just a cave where you could just walk in there and get whatever you need. But because people don't really, it's dangerous to go into blowholes when they're not caves, no one goes. And so, like...
Stitch that on a pillow.
Right? They just lower her down into a blowhole and are like, find the treasure. I was like, she's going to be a pink mist in, like, the next wave because it's just going to smash her up against the rocks. That's, like, the whole reason it's dangerous. But she has enough time to get down there and be like, oh, there is treasure here. Tie herself to one of the heavy treasure pieces, smart.
Yeah.
And then weather the waves. But then the movie implies that for hours, every 50 seconds, she is swimming back up, getting enough breaths, and then coming back down and holding on for dear life for hours until Matthew McConaughey figures out where she is and comes to rescue her.
She would be tired so much faster than that.
She would die. She would absolutely die.
I would buy 10, 15 minutes max.
Sure, max.
And that's because she's in great shape. Yes. I would be out in 4 at max.
Oh, I would maybe do 4 or 5. I would consider myself a strong swimmer. I have swam for most of my life. Not even competitively, just in water a lot.
Yeah.
I'd maybe give myself 3 of those.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, he goes and gets the other guy, Mo, and he's like, they got Tess. The treasure's in the blowhole. Everybody to the blowhole. So, he gets down to the blowhole. They're shooting at him. Meanwhile, the yacht and Mo have joined forces. And a boat of rescuers is now going to come join the fray.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they sent divers into the blowhole from the ocean side. I guess because they want to murder them.
Yeah.
The waves are just going to smash the divers up against the rocks. What? But they get into an underwater fight that she somehow has the strength for. She does manage to rip a mask off, so she's got some oxygen. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey sees her down there, so he jumps, he joins the fray. They manage to stab the one guy who then, because he's no longer connected to the tow line, gets swept up and just blood mists out the top of the blowhole.
I did think it was really funny because when that happens, Kevin Hart sees the blood mist and he's like, oh!
Yeah.
And then you see the guy who's also
one of the remaining henchmen.
Yeah, who's in scuba gear. He's also trying not to throw up. And then they both sort of have the realization of oh, we actually don't know if that was bad for us or not. We have no idea who died right there.
He hands him the harpoon. This was the funniest line in the movie for me. He hands him the harpoon gun and says, find out who that was.
Yes. It was so funny because he's right. There's no way. could have been their now boss henchman.
Right.
Having killed one of them, but it's actually the boss henchman that died. But they don't know.
They don't know. But this is where Kevin Hart's trying to load that treasure chest and it falls into the water and whatever.
Yeah.
But the other henchman goes down into the water where Mo has now dived in to try and catch him because he saw him from up above. And we've established that the water is very clear. He harpoon guns him through the leg and he uses that tow line to just like pull him in. They get into a fight. Mo gets away because Tess and whatever Matthew McConaughey's character's name is show up with oxygen. They get him to the surface, get him back to the boat.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're all trying to kind of get back to the rescue boat, but Kevin Hart takes Kate Hudson in the plane and the plane takes off with Matthew McConaughey holding or about to. He kind of misses the like thing because then Gemma has to get on a jet ski and drive him up close to it so they can ride nuts to butts and something that I feel is very uncomfortable as well.
Paige,
up to the plane.
I have to stop you for 1 second. You said that Kate Hudson gets taken onto the plane.
Yes.
I have to say that she's in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Hart has a gun and he's like holding it on Matthew McConaughey, but he like grabs her
by the hair
as he's standing on the plane and pulls her out of the water onto the boat. My point is he's 5'2" and she's 5'6". Like, no,
yes.
He did not.
Yes,
no.
There's no way. There's no way this could happen.
Like, there's a crane in the water that we're not seeing because there's no way anybody, like, I'm not saying she's a heavy person.
You'd have to be so strong.
You'd have to be so strong to lift someone out of the water like that.
Yes.
She's like soaking wet and he's half her size.
Yes. But she's in the plane. Matthew McConaughey on the jet ski jumps, catches one of the bottom rudders of the thingies on the seaplane, climbs up into the plane.
Yeah.
Has a fight with Kevin Hart where he then throws him from the plane. Kevin Hart shoots as he goes down.
Like a badass.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Hitting the gas tank of the plane. And then we get like 15 whole minutes that I think the movie thinks is romantic. Them, like Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson trying to fly and land this plane and being like, I love you so much, I love you too. And I'm like, why? No, run away. But then he crashes the plane, but they survive the crash.
Yeah.
And then they come up and they're like, I love you too. We have the treasure.
Let's get married again. Like, it's so terrible.
He's like, I've learned from my mistakes, marry me. And she's like, you haven't learned from your mistakes, but I will marry you. And I was like, no!
Paige, this proves, I think, my theory that Kate Hudson gets all the gold and that she does marry him again, but only because she knows in a week she can divorce him. He won't show up to the arm wrestling match, so she'll just win by default and get all the gold. And then she gets to give it to a museum and go to Chicago and they're going to cover her getting her PhD or whatever.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
But what we see seems to be their wedding. It's unclear if it's a wedding or just the opening of the museum, but she is very pregnant. And because they pregnanted that baby in the church, I suspect it might be evil.
It's Damien for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But as they pan through the crowd of the other people there, implying that we're like maybe a year past where we, ended the movie, they show Gemma, the daughter, like in an embrace with the Ukrainian sidekick guy.
Who is Matthew McConaughey's age?
Yes.
Like, it's not his apprentice.
No.
It is his peer who has been talking the whole movie like, remember back in the day when we used to do this?
Ordering sex workers.
Oh, yeah. And of course, he's the guy who was ordering sex workers.
And they're like heads tucked in, like romantic embrace. And then we pull back from their museum exhibit where they have the rock that says Aurelia.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
Paige, having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you think about this one where we were the fools in Fool's Gold?
We were indeed the fools. I will say, instead of watching this, go watch the trailer for the new Running Man. It looks awesome.
I have not yet seen it, but I definitely want to see that movie. Yeah.
We forced Todd to watch Running Man at Panic Fest, so you are familiar with the original Running Man. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some stills. It does look great.
But yeah, I don't need to watch this again.
I don't think I need to watch it again either, but I did buy it, so I do have the option. If I ever decide to exercise it, I won't. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, hit us with your fun facts. Fool's Gold fun facts. It's easy when there are two syllables. The whole title, it's easy. Yeah.
It's nice. Mo Fitch is based on treasure hunter Mel Fisher, whose Key West Maritime Museum houses gold and silver artifacts from Spanish treasure ships.
Very cool.
So in that case, he does own the museum, so maybe they are rich.
Okay.
Production on this movie was delayed when an infestation of deadly box jellyfish kept everyone out of the water.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah.
The precious gem in this movie is a 135-foot yacht built in New Zealand and designed by a man named Jack Sarin. The real name of the yacht is the Carrie Lee, and you can charter it for $70,000 a week, and it can accommodate up to 12 guests.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to spend $70,000 on that.
Ooh, Kevin Hart had never seen the word facade written. He'd only heard it.
I've only ever seen that word. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's the opposite of that.
Yep. And so there's a line in the movie where he said, "Don't you think that this is a facade?" And he kept saying it, "Don't you think that this is a facade?" They apparently shot it 3 times before the director was like, "Hey, I don't know if you're doing this as a bit, but it's facade." And so he was like, "I didn't realize, but I was selling the line anyway."
That's so funny.
Yep. The comic book that the burning piece of paper lands on is Invincible, which is a comic series written by Robert Kirkman, creator of The Walking Dead. Pretty fun.
Nice.
This was largely filmed in Queensland, Australia. Tom Cruise was originally cast in this, or was considering taking the role and chose not to.
Of course.
And only a few years before this, Matthew McConaughey starred in Sahara, portraying basically a very, very similar character, and has a sidekick named Alphonse, much like in this movie. His sidekick is also named Alphonse.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. His sidekick in Sahara is Al, but we never clarify what Al is short for.
Oh, it could be Alphonse.
But it's Al in both. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. When Nigel and Gemma are playing gin rummy, they play for a penny a point. And at the end, he ends up owing her $28,000, meaning 2.8 million points, which seems like that game would take a long time.
I've never played Gin Rummy, so I don't know, but it did seem like a lot.
Seems like a lot. Kate Hudson and Kevin Hart are the same age. They're just 3 months apart, with Kate Hudson being 3 months older than him. And those are your fun facts.
And 4 inches taller than him.
Yeah.
And I only say that because they had him pulling her out of the water. Like, it did feel like they had cast The Rock, and then they were like, well, he's busy. Get Kevin Hart and we won't change a thing. Like, it was like that kind of vibe.
Do you want to know what the Rotten Tomato score for this movie is?
Oh, low. I'm sure it's low.
Do you want to take a guess?
Is it out of 5 or out of 10?
It's out of 100% there's a tomato meter, which is the critic score.
Okay.
And popcorn meter, which is audience score. Audience score always trends a little bit higher, but do you want to take a guess at either one?
Okay, I'm going to say the audience score is 18%.
Oh, no, the audience score is much higher than that. The audience score is 48, and shame on all of you.
Oh, man.
However,
it's no wonder we're in this mess.
Do you want to take a stab at the critic score?
18%, Bob.
Very close. It was 11%.
Oh, shit. Okay, fair. All right. I love it. Great.
Yep.
Well, Paige, let's talk some box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Fool's Gold in 2008?
I'm sorry, I just read one of the reviews. Making Nicolas Cage's National Treasure Hunter seem like a rocket scientist in comparison, McConaughey's Ben seems to have trouble walking and talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Oof. That's from James Crute in the New Zealand Post.
How dare they be so accurate?
How dare they?
What do you think the production budget was?
Production budget on this, because of the amount of famous people in it.
Yeah.
And because they shot a lot of this on location in Australia, which is cheaper than shooting in the United States, but is still pretty expensive. And they had production delays because of box jellyfish. I'm going to say this cost $60 million.
Paige, I am happy to report it was $72.5 million.
God, yeah.
Which, if you adjust for inflation, makes it $108.2 million, which is nuts and wonderful. Now, Paige, this movie came out the weekend of February 8th, 2008, and it was number 1 the weekend it came out. It beat the number 2 movie, which was Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. Number 3 was Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus. Best of both worlds. Number 3 was the movie I saw that weekend, a movie called The Eye. And number 5 was Juno. What do you think Fool's Gold brought in its opening weekend?
I'm guessing by these reviews that I'm reading, stunned by, not really. This did not do well in its opening weekend. I'm going to say this made about $6 million.
So it was number 1 in its opening weekend, mind you. So it made It made $21.5 million. Now, Paige, so I think where the negative reviews start to come in is once people started seeing it.
Sure.
So in its second weekend, it did fall from first to fourth, although it still did bring in $12.9 million. And it was in theaters because it was 2008. It was in theaters for 16 weeks.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it was in the top 5 for its first 3 weeks, and it was in the top 10 for its first 5 weeks. But it was out of the theaters in about 10 more weeks. So again, 16 weeks total. But what do you think it made in its domestic box office run?
Well, considering that Hollywood.com reviewed this just by saying, yo ho ho hum.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that.
Isn't it great?
It's catty. I love it.
Good job, Kit Bowen.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm going to say that this probably made about $42 million.
In domestic performance, it brought in $46.9 million. So you were very close.
That's what's up.
It did also bring in a little bit more internationally, a total of $47.7 million, which brings it up to $94.7 million. So it did make money technically. It also brought in another almost $24 million in the domestic DVD and Blu-ray sales. And I bought it today, so it's still making money. But that is your box office, Paige. Do you want to hit them with that romance scale?
First of all, I can't believe you bought it after the reviews that said, quote, as fluffy and mindless as its promotional materials may have indicated. Our romance scale is a scale of 1 to 4 of how romantic we found this movie today. Todd, how romantic did you find it?
It's a stone cold 1 for me, dog. Like, I don't love it.
Yes, that's an interesting note.
What's an interesting note?
The frequency with which people are shot or drowned wears away at any attempts the film makes to be frothy or screwball. Thank you, MSNBC. But for me, it's going to be a stone cold 1.
Yeah.
I did not find this romantic at all. And there's no roar scale here either. So.
Right. Paige, do you think they're still together? It's 2008 when this came out.
God, I hope not, for her sake.
When they got married a second time, in 2008. I would imagine this wedding lasted a week until she could, divorce him and take all the gold and then donate it to a museum. And that's what I hope for her.
Yeah. All she has to do is not remind him when that appointment is, and she's a rich woman. At least that's what I hope for her.
Yes.
And those are your romance scale, and are they still together?
Yeah. So, Paige, this week I made you guys watch Fool's Gold, and I'll be honest with you, no regrets. Although it did not do quite as well as How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which I think made like $170-some million worldwide.
Because that movie's actually good.
It's a great movie. Yeah, this one, not so much.
Despite being very toxic, it is very watchable.
It is. It's just a good movie. This one, not so much. But Paige, what are you going to make them watch next week while we continue sort of Adventure Romance Month, right?
Adventure Romance Month.
Yeah.
We're going to do Jewel of the Nile because we never did it. It is the sequel to Romancing the Stone, and I am excited. I've heard that it's not as good as Romancing the Stone, so we might be in for a second week of badness, but who knows? It's Jewel of the Nile.
Guys, check it out for next week.
Todd, do you have any reviews for us?
I do. So this week, I'm going to read a Spotify comment from our most recent Debs episode. This one's going to come in from Ned the Butcher, and they say, I had the best score in my school on the ASVAB.
Yeah.
Then I realized I should have just gone to class that day when the recruiters wouldn't stop calling me afterwards.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That is what's up.
I did sort of feel bad for you guys. You, of course, mentioned in the episode. I saw a few people mention that in a few different places and that they were also like harassed by recruiters. That sucks.
Hilarious.
Anyway.
They used to show up at lunchtime and make people do pull-ups.
Oof, yeah, good luck. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the comments and the reviews. And if you want to have me read your comments or reviews, leave one of those things and I'll do just that. So yeah, if you guys like this show and want to hear our other show where we talk about horror movies, that is The Horror Virgin. That's the only other podcast I am on, but Paige is also on Cult Podcast, which you can find at Cult Podcast. And you can find us on social media. I am at Todd J. Awesome, literally everywhere. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Instagram.
No, it's at Rampage Wesley on Instagram and TikTok, at Paige Wesley on Twitter.
That's right. All right. So that's where you can find Paige. If you want to find the show, we are at Romancing the Pod Show, right?
Yep, Romancing Pod Show on Twitter.
Well, and Instagram, right?
And Instagram, but it's show SHO because character limits. If you start typing Romancing the Pod, it'll come up.
It'll definitely come up on Instagram. I don't know about Twitter because I haven't posted on Twitter in a hot ass minute. So who knows? But that is where you can find more of us. So yeah, guys, give us a follow. Support the show any way you can. We'd love it.
Smash that like button.
Hell yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion. Bye. I can't wait till next week, nerds.
La 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 la.